I just got done teaching my beginner sourdough workshop that I do once a month in Fort Myers, Florida, and one of the biggest concepts that my beginners struggle with is the idea of maintaining a sourdough starter, how many jars they should have going at a time, and what the difference between discard versus active starter truly is. So what is the difference between discard versus active starter? I like to think of discard as excess starter that you do not use to feed your mother starter and using to make your bread. What happens to that? Well, this all goes in a jar and goes in the back of my fridge, and I do use this for cookies, scones, muffins, and anything that doesn't require the sourdough starter to leaven the baked good. If you have baking soda or baking powder and additional leavening ingredients in your recipes, you do not need to use the active starter as the leavening agent, and thus it can be used to improve the taste and the texture of your baked goods. How long can you keep discard in the fridge? As long as your discard is not molding, it can be stored in the fridge indefinitely. You're looking for signs that it's pink or has hairy spots or discoloration. If it is a clear liquid, gray or black, it is totally fine, and you can keep this in your fridge indefinitely as a backup in case you kill your mother starter. After about a month, it starts to get really acidic and it forms a layer of hooch on the top, which is just a byproduct of the fermentation process, and I would not use it in my baked goods. What I would do is mix it with water and feed my plants with it as a fertilizer. What is active starter? Active starter is the starter that you fed last. So the one that you are maintaining and you're keeping healthy and active. This can be kept at room temperature and fed once every 24 hours or as often as every 12 hours. And you can keep it in your fridge at peak sealed. How many jars should you have of starter going at a time? You should only ever need 2 jars, one for discard and one for active starter. I do like to use a clean starter jar, and I do weigh all of my starter feedings with a food scale. I put this on my food scale, I transfer a portion of this into the clean jar, I feed it with fresh flour and fresh water, and this becomes my active starter. Anything left in here is considered discard, and it goes in my discard jar. I always clean my jars because if you let it sit for too long, it will form into a hard, crusty surface that is really hard to clean. It's almost like cement. This is also keeping harmful pathogens and bacteria out of your starter that could potentially create a pink bacteria that you would in turn have to throw away your starter for. And a discard jar, any excess that you have. I hope this helps.